I'm being stopped because I'm getting on to the next question.
Nigel Farage.
Well, I'm getting a bit tired with this excuse of it was all within the rules, because we keep hearing it, don't we? Well, pretty clearly, much of what's gone on was not within the rules, and I agree with the sentiment of the question, because it's pretty clear to me there are several cases here that do deserve prosecution, and if they weren't members of Parliament, but they were working for public or private companies, and they behaved with their expenses like this, they would have been sacked immediately and facing prosecution, and that's what needs to happen. But we've been here before. Remember the Cash for Honours scandal? That looked pretty bleak, didn't it? Scotland Yard knocking on number 10 Downing Street with alarming regularity, and what happened? Absolutely nothing. And my fear is...
Because the police decided that it would not be sensible to take it forward, and, and the Crown Prosecution Service believed that there would not be a case to answer that would have any prospect of success.
And it may be difficult here. And even if there are prosecutions, they will take a very long time, which means that those people that have abused, and it's your money, it's taxpayers' money, for goodness sake, that we're talking about, these people will be able to go on until the end of this Parliament. Susan wants a general election. I wouldn't mind a general election, but it's not going to happen. We're going to go on to May or June next year, and I think to expect Parliament to reform itself, to expect prosecutions to sort this out, frankly, is kicking this problem into the long grass. I think we need some different kind of mechanism whereby the people of this country, in between general elections, can call bad members of Parliament to account.
Nigel Farage, you look from outside of this. Yeah.
If Speaker Martin does submit his final expense claim, I expect it'll be a very lengthy and very expensive expense claim. I felt, I mean, long before this particular furore broke, I felt, and I'm sure all of you that perhaps, watch PMQs or whatever it may be, I felt for some time that this man, as Speaker of the Mother of Parliaments, has become a national embarrassment. He is not good at his job. He's not good at his job. He doesn't command the respect of the House. He does not behave with impartiality, which is something we've expected of speakers all down the centuries. And in this particular case, I think his behaviour has been disgraceful. He's done everything he can to hush up this inquiry, which must upset Lord Faulkner, because he did, of course...
Let us be careful when we say hush up this inquiry. He's used his constitutional authority to suggest that and to take it through the courts, that there were circumstances in his judgment which made it unnecessary or wrong for elements of this to be confronted in public. Hush up is a strong word, and you may not wish to use precisely that term.
Well, I think it is quite a strong word, but I don't think he wanted the truth to come out. That's my impression of it. Lord Faulkner, whether Lord Faulkner's popular in his own party for having brought about the Freedom of Information Act, I'm not sure. Perhaps this was the law of unintended consequences. Anyway, I take my hat off to the Liberal Democrats for having the courage to stand up and say that he should go, and it's about time the opposition party did the same thing.
It is unfair, and I think it is unfair to blame him and say a solution to this problem is to force him to walk the plank, when it is obvious that the problem is those MPs, not all MPs, but those MPs who have been abusing the system.
But you just said he's the representative of the members of Parliament. He is somebody that the country should be looking to, who, if there is a problem, tries to get back and command the respect of our Parliament and our democracy. And if he's their representative, he's led them very badly indeed, because politicians tonight are held in more contempt than they ever have been in the history of this country, and he should take some responsibility for that.
I mean, I do think that is very unfair. The real thing to focus on...
Now, I just think that there is also a convention in Parliament that the opposition supports the office of the Speaker. And I'm the only front bencher on the panel, but I do think it's an important convention. When we have problems like this, I think we have to say this is our responsibility to sort them out. We have to carry the can for it, and I don't think we need to make a scapegoat of someone else.
But, Jeremy, politics is bust. Politics in this country is broken as we sit here and discuss this evening. It's time for some radical action. Surely, this man needs to go.
Nigel Farage.
Let's not underestimate the extent to which trust has broken down. This isn't a phenomenon that's just going to be here for a couple of weeks and then disappear. I mean, this is terminal unless something very radical happens. And it's interesting, the three answers that we've heard so far from the other parties, they're all talking about what their own constituency party organisations might do about it. Whether perhaps they'll deselect somebody, whether perhaps indeed we'll have to wait until the next general election. And I think the only way that we're going to get any trust back in politics and politicians is, I think, we have to empower the people, so that it's not just the local party association that can deselect somebody for the next election. I think we have to make our politicians a little fearful. In America and parts of Canada, they have a process that is called the recall system, where if 12% of the electorate of a state demand there is a by-election, there will be a by-election. And indeed, Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor of California because a recall process was put into place. This recommendation will not come from the Kelly report, and it will not come from our big parties, but I do think to get trust back in politics, we've got to get the voters back involved in this and give them the ability to sack politicians that have broken the rules. It'll be far swifter than waiting for prosecutions, and certainly if we leave this professional political class who have led us into this mess to reform it themselves, it won't happen. We need this radical action.
I think the BNP stands for hatred. I think it stands for division in society. I think it stands for the opposite of progress. And I think we've got to be very, very careful that we don't let what's happened this week cloud our judgments about some of the truly horrific things that could be on the horizon if we were to let the BNP through the back door.
Nigel Farage.
Well, I think Lord Tebbett's an awfully good chap. I really do. I was thrilled with what he said, and I agree with him. This is a political question, but equally, it could have been related to the previous three questions that we've had. You know, what Lord Tebbett is saying is we have a political class, we have three parties in Westminster whose views on this great issue of European Union and whether we should govern ourselves or be governed by those institutions is indistinguishable. I can't tell the difference between this panel on the European question. And what he's saying is that a European election is a time to have that debate, that a European election is contested on the basis of proportional representation. And I can tell you, that is exactly what UKIP intends to do. We want to fight this election on issues. We want to point out to people that we have complete open borders to Eastern Europe, that we pay £40 million a day to be part of this, that 75% of our laws are made there. But I will say this on the point of the BNP, that whilst we're a patriotic party that believes in tough immigration controls, we do so absolutely as a non-racist and non-sectarian political party. And the only party, well, you know, we know of the 69 candidates that are standing for UKIP in these elections, 5 of them are black and Asian and are standing on our ticket. And the only party in British politics right now that can stop the BNP making that breakthrough on June the 4th is the UK Independence Party, and I believe that we will do that, because the others won't address the issue.
Can I just ask you this? You say in relation to the BNP you're non-racist. The BNP does not say we are a racist party. What makes you say, and all politicians of the established parties say that the BNP is racist? Because what makes you say unequivocally and with certainty the BNP is racist as opposed to what it claims itself to be?
Yeah. No, it is racist because Article 2 of the BNP's constitution forbids black and Asian people from even being candidates of that party. Whereas in a party like UKIP, not only do we have black and Asian candidates, we will have a lot of black and Asian voters coming out and supporting us on June the 4th. There's a clear difference, there's a choice.
Yes, you can. Jeremy Hunt.
I'd just like to ask Nigel Farage whether he thinks it's right that UKIP should benefit from people's anger with the three main parties, when of the UKIP MEPs, one of them has actually done a prison sentence for housing fraud and another is being prosecuted for laundering money.
Jeremy? The difference between UKIP and your party and the Labour Party couldn't be clearer. We've had bad apples in our party, just as every party, company, for that sake even family, tends to have. The difference is, when we found people that have broken faith with us, we got rid of them. We expelled them immediately. What the big parties have done is they've tried to brush these problems under the carpet. And for David Cameron to say, oh, well, these people are going to pay the money back, as far as I'm concerned, that's an admission of guilt. When UKIP has a problem, we deal with it.
Hang on, Nigel. Tom Wise, the article about him doing dodgy things with money laundering came out in October 2005, and UKIP did nothing about it for 2 years. I don't think you'll be dealing with it immediately.
We got rid of him. We got rid of him.
2 years later.
We got rid of him within 2 days of finding out the truth. He didn't tell us the truth, even when the problem emerged, when we discovered that he'd used money wrongly, when we discovered that actually he'd paid the money back, incidentally, all of it, but that wasn't good enough. When we found out the truth, within 48 hours, he was gone. It would be good, Jeremy, to see David Cameron kicking out some of your MPs tonight. That would follow UKIP's lead.